lubber duck. Hey, Jenny, you have the hand. I can't open it. Right, what's on it? All his nibs.
Mr. Partridge. Hey, Mr. Partridge.
Now what's the trouble?
Can't open the blinking door.
Come out. You hear me? This is Victoria Station. Honey?
Some drunk sleeping it off.
Some just traveling first class.
Come on, Ed.
Jim, let's have your ladder. Yes. Open that window.
What?
I can't budge it, Mr. Partridge. Budge is the word. You'll have to smash it then. What? Oh! Mr. Partridge, there's Run for help! Fix the piece! Don't stand there gaping!
This must be the place.
Yes.
You'll have to wait here.
I'm not going to let you go in a place like this alone.
You must really. I'll be all right.
This meeting is now called to order. The unfortunate death in a train of one of our members, Mr. James Murphy, who departed this life by his own act while of unsound mind, has necessitated this meeting.
That's what you say, Mr. Maydew. But how do you know?
A verdict of death by suicide was returned tonight. This is the second occasion that we have been brought together by the mishaps to our members. The first being the passing away by natural causes of the late Colonel Forrester, whose charming daughter so gracefully honors us with presence here tonight. It is agreed in the pact drawn up and formally attested to by its founders that should the Grim Reaper overtake one or more, the interests of the deceased in the society will be divided equally among the surviving members. It is also provided for in the pact that Miss Forrester becomes a participating member. Consequently, the interests of the late James Murphy will be divided equally among the seven of us. I move that my fee for the necessary legal representation, funeral expenses, and a modest urn for the ashes be defrayed by our organization. I understand from the widow that he expressed a preference for cremation.
I second that.
All those in favor will please signify by raising their hands. Mr. Wilson. Mr. Baker. Mr. Deering. Mr. Pike. Yet? Good. Has any provision been made for the widow? None.
I presume that we could stretch a point in her favor.
Emphatically no. Things are complicated enough as they are.
Why did he want to kill himself?
Have you ever met his wife?
No.
No? Well, I have. A pest if there ever was one. We can attribute his death solely to the general deficiencies of one Annabelle Mary Murphy.
What would you deduce from this?
Obviously an attempt to convey secret information.
Could you decipher it?
I could not, nor could you.
Would you like to bet?
Certainly.
How much?
Shilling.
My time is too valuable. The answer will be found in a large book because the numbers are large. I'd suggest the Bible. A client, Watson. Where? The widow standing under the street lamp.
A widow? Would you like to bet on that?
Of course.
Well, I'm not going down the street to ask her.
Ah. Won't be necessary. She's made up her mind.
So you deduce at a distance, eh?
Not in this case. I recognized her features. She's a Mrs. Murphy. Her husband was murdered 3 days ago.
You mean the man that was found dead in a train?
Exactly. Come in.
Mrs. Murphy to see you, sir.
Mr. Owen, I'm in such a mess. Such a mess. My husband up and died without leaving me as much as a threepenny bit. It's a crying shame, Mr. Owen. That's what it is.
Sit down and try to compose yourself.
Cut off without a pardon by an ungrateful good-for-nothing. Me, at my time of life. No dirty dog had a better wife. I've waited on him hand to mouth. Stood by his side morning, noon and night. And what does the stinker do? He ups and kills himself and leaves his money to a trust and Mr. Merridew. Yes. And there's another stinker if I never saw another. Won't even let me have a sixpence. He won't even let me have a halfpenny, Mr. Owen.
Thaddeus Merridew, the lawyer?
Yes, the thieving hound, the dirty rat.
1 moment. You were married how long?
5 blessed long years.
Previous to your marriage, your husband served in the army.
You knew him?
Of it. You got a discharge in China.
Yes, that's right.
Then you married.
Yes, and I gave up everything, Mr. Holmes. You asked the proprietor of the Black Sow. He'll tell you. It was me that made that pub what it was.
And your husband had money.
Barrels of it. And when he wanted more, he used to come up to London and get it. It was that took him to London when he killed himself.
How do you know?
Well, Jim comes into my room. I was in bed with a piece of cucumber rind round the head, trying to cure an headache. He had a letter in his hand. See here, pig, he said. That was his pet name for me when he was drunk. I'm going up to London.
Did you read the contents of the letter?
Oh, it wasn't no letter. It was just a piece of doggerel.
Watson, make a note of Mrs. Murphy's address.
232 King's Cross Road. Then you'll undertake me, Mr. Owen.
I'll take up your case.
Mind you, it'll have to be for love.
Love?
For Nick. I've heard as how you like working for nothing.
My interest is to bring the criminal to justice.
Oh, never mind about justice. Never mind about the crime. All I want is my husband's lawful money. And I want you to slap that thieving lawyer's face right across between his greasy fat chop. Good night, Mr. Owen. I'll be seeing you, and thank you kindly.
Good night, Miss Murphy. Deep water, Watson.
She needs some shady lawyer, not you.
Think so?
I'm amazed that you're wasting your energies on such a morbid trifle. Who is this Merridew?
London's most dangerous crook. The king of blackmailers. A gliding, slithy, venomous snake. Once in his power, he'll squeeze and squeeze until he's drained his victims dry. More than once I've had my net around him, but so far he's managed to wriggle his way out. But the time has come, Watson. The time has come for Mr. Thaddeus Merridew.
And now, Miss Forrester and gentlemen, this concludes the meeting. I would like to have a word with you alone. I sincerely trust no further accidents will happen to occasion another meeting.
Never can tell.
Are you going my way?
Which way do you go?
I go the other. That leads to a dead end.
That's the way I go.
Good night, then.
Good night.
You must never mention anything that transpired at this meeting tonight, or even that this meeting was held. I saw a young man standing on the corner as I came in.
Yes, my fiancé. He brought me here and is waiting for me.
Oh. Then you're thinking of the Marion?
Yes.
I wouldn't if I were you. That is, at least until you've consulted me.
But why?
I can't explain. In a short time, the society will no longer exist. Until its affairs are winded up, it would be most unwise for you to marry. Your father would not have wished it.
What had my father to do with these people?
Didn't he ever tell you?
No.
Then I must respect his silence. Remember, not a word to a living soul.
He's after me. He's after me.
Captain Pike.
Oh! Oh!
Dead, shot through the heart. You wait here. What is it? What's happened? Are you hurt?
Someone. Look. It's disappeared. What does it mean?
The murderer must have had an accomplice and removed the body.
We must call the police.
No, the police will be here soon enough. We mustn't become involved.
But it's murder.
As you respect your father's memory, you must preserve a strict silence. Not a word. Come.
The body was pulled out of the Thames at 5 a.m. in the Limehouse district. The autopsy shows that death was caused by a bullet through the heart. The features, as you see, are unrecognizable, caused possibly by the battering of the head against the wall where the body was found. The widow identified the body by means of that ring.
A very rare and very beautiful ring, Lestrade.
There isn't the slightest doubt that the thief is Captain Pike. The clothes were identified, the initials on the collar and on the shirt. Further identifications are contained in these letters that were found in the clothing. Where is the widow? We ask her to wait in the adjoining room. Mrs. Pike?
Yes. You are?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. When did you last see your husband alive?
We dined together last night at the Savoy Grove. He left me shortly after 9 o'clock. I never saw him again.
You're staying?
At the Savoy.
You've been in London how long?
About a week.
And you live where?
At the Grange Sugar Mill.
When your husband left you, did he inform you where he was going?
No, but I fancied it was on a matter of business. He was a man very precise in his habits. When midnight came, and there was no sign of him, I became rather alarmed.
Midnight should be a late hour for him.
Very. As the time went on, I became more on my way. At last I informed the police. An hour ago I received a message to come here, where I identified the body of my poor husband.
By the ring?
Yes.
Did he always wear a ring?
That one, yes. I gave it to him when we were married.
That would be?
About 6 years ago in China. It is an heirloom belonging to my family, and has been handed down through generations.
I see.
permit me to express my sympathy for your great loss.
Thank you. Is that all?
By the way, should it become necessary, shall I communicate with you at the Grange or the Savoy?
Through my lawyer.
His name?
Mr. Thaddeus Merridew. Good morning, Mr. Holmes.
Well, what do you make of it?
Murder, unquestionably.
Is that all?
That's all I have to say.
What do you think?
I think that the lady is a liar. Full of the Pike murder mystery. Seemed to me particularly senseless and futile. There was no motive. No motive. Peer deep down in the black heart of Thaddeus Merridew and you'll find a motive. You don't mean to suggest that he had anything to do with it, do you? I suggest nothing. Come in.
Inspector Lestrade to see you, sir.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson.
What's the matter? You look worried.
Worried? I'm up to my neck.
Again?
Before I can begin to finish one case, I'm plunged into another.
That's the penalty of being smart. You came to see me professionally.
Well, unofficially.
I see. Heads you win, tails I lose.
There's been a bad business during the night. An old gentleman. You'll find it a bit of a puzzler.
You mean you found it a bit of a puzzler?
We've left everything in status quo, hoping you'll favor us with an opinion.
Dead? Murder?
Suicide.
Come, Watson. Game is afoot.
He was well known as a stamp collector.
Very interesting. What is it, Holmes?
That leads out to the garden. Seldom used to judge by the rusty hinges. Good morning, Beth. You can see that I have left everything untouched.
With a herd of buffaloes passed along, it couldn't be a greater mess.
You can take a smoke. Thank you, sir. What do you think?
There's been murder done. The murderer was a man. He was in the prime of life, 6 feet in height, has small feet, wears square-toed boots, limps slightly on the left foot, and smokes Trichinopoly cigars.
If it was murder, how was it committed?
The assassin was in the house before his victim arrived. He hid in the recess behind the window. While there, he smoked a cigar. He fired a shot which hit the victim on the back of the head, and then dragged the body to where you found it. He left, and returned some while later to fire a second shot, this time through the mouth. You'll find the mark of a boot, clearly imprinted on the congealed blood.
What was his object?
To obliterate the effect of the first, hoping by so doing to transfer the crime from that of murder to one of suicide. Bullet number 1 you will find in the wall on the farther side of the room. The other will be found embedded in the body of the murdered man. Come, Watson. We mustn't keep Mr. Merridew waiting. Mr. Holmes is still waiting, sir.
How long has he been now?
Fully 2 hours, sir.
That's as it should be. You may show him in now.
Very good, sir.
Mr. Holmes, this is indeed a pleasure. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, but I had to digest my lunch. This is my friend and partner, Dr. Watson. How do you do? That's a port, gentlemen?
Thank you, no.
Cigar? Thank you. Be seated, gentlemen.
I represent Annabelle Mary Murphy.
Charming lady.
I'm empowered to act on her behalf.
Congratulations.
As you are doubtless aware, her husband came to a premature and sudden end.
Dear.
My client is under an impression that certain monies belonging to the deceased are being unlawfully withheld from her.
By whom?
By you.
And you believe this delightful lady?
I'm paid to find out. An angry woman is hard to pacify. So I thought that an amicable discussion with you would put me in possession of certain facts with which I could prove to my client the absurdity of her claim.
I see. Is that all?
That is all.
Dear, you're not smoking my cigar. You refuse to assist me. My dear Mr. Holmes, I have neither the information nor the authority. You see, until a few days ago, I was not aware that your distinguished client existed. In my profession, I deal with many cases impartially and legally without coming into personal contact with my client.
It won't do, Mr. Merridew.
Anything else?
I trouble you for pencil and paper.
Help yourself. Mr. Busybody Holmes.
By the way, I think you should know that another client of yours met his death last night. Mr. Malcolm Deering, found murdered. Good day, Mr. Merridew. Come, Watson. Cold-blooded monster. Well, I've given him something to think about.
Did you see what I saw? His feet.
What about it?
But they were small feet. And the boots
Well?
were square-toed.
Really?
Yes, and did you remark the brand of cigar?
Cigar?
Trichinopoly. It was stenciled in big letters on the top of the box.
Is that all you observed?
Was there anything else?
100 things. Among them the cipher to the code. A large book, Watson. I saw no Bible.
We can call Whitaker's Almanac aloud.
Yes, indeed.
In that book will be found the message of the numbers.
Mr. Holmes.
Mrs. Pike.
Holmes, what did you write on that sheet of paper?
A long shot in the dark, Watson, but it hit a bullseye. Miss Forrester lives here, I believe. Tell her that Mr. Merridew wishes to see her. Mr. Thaddeus Merridew. And hurry.
Mr. Merridew calling to see you, miss.
Miss Forrester. You're looking charming as ever. I see you received my flowers.
Thank you.
I sent them to soften the unexpectedness of my visit.
You come about the murder of Captain Pike?
No. Have the police been pestering you?
No.
I was fortunate enough to keep your name out of it. Have you seen today's papers? Shocking. Shocking. Poor old gentleman. This is a very wicked world we're living in, Miss Forrester. This will necessitate another meeting. That's why I came myself to tell you. Safer. Too many eavesdroppers. Busybodies concerning themselves with other people's business. The same time, the same place, tomorrow night.
Oh, please don't ask me to go to that dreadful place again.
Well, unfortunately, in this case, I'm a servant, carrying out instructions. You've nothing to worry about. Not a thing. Not a thing in the world.
Oh, this is my... Mr. Sanford, Mr. Merridew.
Remember. I seem to see you every place. Who is that man?
He's my lawyer.
I remember seeing him the other night. But what's he doing here?
Oh, please don't begin that all over again.
Well, Eileen, surely I have a right to know.
Oh, John, I'm so miserable. It's something that concerns Father. Just before he died, he sent for me. I remember his words. On my death, you'll find yourself well provided for. You'll be rich. Remember this man. He repeated it twice. Merridew. Should he communicate with you, follow his instructions. For through him will come this inheritance.
And the meeting 3 days ago?
Began the fulfillment of Father's word.
I think I'm beginning to understand. I thought I saw... He was a black-bearded man, ill-dressed, but looked like a tramp. How tall? Oh, quite tall. Could you keep Miss Forrester under observation without her knowing it? I don't understand. Is Eileen in danger? In great danger. You were wise in coming to see me. Should anything unforeseen occur, get in touch with me. Go to her. Remember, get in touch with me. We are getting on, Watson. I'm glad to see you in a more cheerful mood. We've done remarkably well. I'm pleased. I admit I could do with a little explanation. I, too, feel a little curious. I considered the claims of Whitaker's Almanac. As I suspected, the large number represented the page, the second, the small number, the column, and the other figures the message. You'll find it decoded on the table. Meeting of Scarlet Ring.
Possibly. Tomorrow will appear in the personal column of the Daily Telegraph a second message, a request for information. Your message? My message. And the next step? The need of fresh air will take me in the country tomorrow. In the meantime, relaxation, music. I hope I won't bore you, not if you make it soft.
Things are getting worse and worse. I hear tell as how they'll get more worser before they gets less worser. Same as I say. That were a very bad business about Captain Pike. A very bad business. Same as I say. I hear tell us how the old range is going under the hammer. Lock, stock and barrel. Same as I say. And I almost broke this old back of mine a weed in that old garden. And to look at it now, you'd think I'd spent all my time in here. Morning, sir. Morning. Morning. How far is the Grange from here? Some will tell you 4 miles and some will tell you 5. But I say it's more than 4 and less than 5. Is there any means of getting there besides walking? Bless your heart, yes, sir. I've an old trap. I'll harness up old Caesar and old Willie will drive you over. Do you take anything to drink? Wouldn't come amiss. Scotch and splash. Put a bottle on the table, some glasses and a siphon of soda. Come in, sir, come in. Lord love it, it feels good to be busy again. You're a godsend to him, sir. He hasn't had a paying customer for a long time. Sir. Before you can see Jack Robinson. Help yourself. Thank you, sir. Just a little drop, sir. Say when? When? Well, here's your very good health, sir. I feel like a new man, sir. Well, and now give the new man a drink. Righto, sir. Is you very good health again, sir? Good health. Were you born in these parts? I've never seen none other. Worked for the Park family all my life. Till I got tired of working. Got this old backache from weeding the plaggy old garden. And you would remember the late captain. And his father, and the old gentleman of Foley's father. See that dent? That belongs to Captain Pike. A mark caused possibly by the imprint of a stone. And right you are, sir. Many a good-looking young Master Robin got for chucking stones at me, sir. Sounds as though the young man was somewhat wild. Wild? He was our only terror. Ready and waiting, sir? I've harnessed up old Cedar and he's ready to go. You must tell me some more on the way over. Better bring the bottle. Righto, sir. Scotch is sure good for the backer. Steady, Caesar, steady. He's hard to handle when he's raring to go, sir. You were saying? You can't make English gentry out of the heathen Chinese now-how. Not in these parts. Very difficult, I imagine. When the captain was alive, did he stay here often? Until last Tuesday, we ain't seen nothing on him for close nigh on to 2 years. Shall we have one, sir? You take 2. Right. The old back feels better already, sir. Magic. There's the Grange now, sir. Looks at his servants there now. Well, not what you might call real servants, sir. There's Daft Dolly, and well you might have to be to keep that place. I kept it for 30 years. Stop a moment. Whoa, Caesar.
walk the rest of the way. I'm in a hurry. Wait here for me. I won't budge an inch.
Your mistress in?
No, sir.
Where is she?
London town.
I understand that this house is for sale. I may wish to buy it. I look it over.
Such a good looking, such eyes, she walks like a cat, such a figure, such a fine bit of glue.
Buzz.
Sleeps here. Ain't you feeling good?
It's my heart. Water, quick.
Just a minute. Drink this.
I'm dying. Give it home for the doctor.
Oh, yeah. We haven't got any phones in the house.
Go for one.
Doctor's a good 5 miles away.
Fetch him. Hurry. Run.
All right. I'll run.
It's so kind of you to come. Knowing my late husband as intimately as you did, I felt I could turn to no better person to help me through this trying time.
Well, you know, anything I can do.
You are very nervous today.
Well, I can't help it. Look at my hands. You know, I'm trembling all over. There. That'll stop the rattling at any rate.
My late husband always spoke of you in the warmest terms. And you know the high regard in which I've always held you.
Oh, have you?
Can you doubt it? You are the only one who knows my husband's affairs. Everything has been left in the most terrible disorder. My house in the country will be sold. I wonder if you could spare the time.
Yes?
You could be my guest over the weekend. And we could go through his papers together.
Well, you know, with pleasure. I could do with a bit of a change.
We could drive down. Would tonight be possible?
Tonight? No. You see, I've got an important meeting tonight.
Then tomorrow.
Tomorrow. May I make a little confession? You know, Mrs. Pike, I've always admired you tremendously.
Baker.
Oh, it's you, is it?
Who do you think it was? Where are the others?
I'm the first one here.
There's a rat among us.
Yes, and he's facing me, seated on a chair.
It's a lie. Someone has given away the code. Anyone supplying information concerning the Scarlet Ring will be rewarded. Apply Sherlock Holmes, 221A Baker Street. It's one of us, that's certain. We can never get out of it. Can't be that dumb Chinaman. There remains you, myself, and Mary Jew.
Well, it's not me. On my oath.
On me, I swear it.
Then I thought that snake was double-crossing me. But it's getting on my nerves.
It's likely to be a nightmare.
First Murphy, then Pike, then Deary. Who'll be next? Suppose someone was to supply information to Sherlock Holmes.
And it would all come out.
No, Holmes is different from the police. He protects clients.
Holmes works with the police. What's in the back of your mind?
I want a fighting chance. I want to leave. This suspense is getting on my nerves. It's killing me.
What suspense? Well, pray be seated, gentlemen. I overheard your conversation. It's most illuminating.
We are not going on.
No? And why not, Frank?
I don't want to die like Murphy.
You'll be found dead like Pike.
No, perhaps you'd like to spend the rest of your lives in prison. No, my friends, crime brought you together, and by crime you will stick together. Gentlemen, in a few more days, the Scarlet Ring will cease to exist.
We'll cease to exist, you mean?
I have just received word from the agent in Antwerp that the plunder has finally been disposed of. This time next week, the principal will be in my hands. A small, unimportant matter of some £1 million, to be divided equally among us. £200,000 apiece. £200,000.
And meanwhile?
We waited for 5 years. That's a matter of a few days.
Yeah, what guarantee is there we'll be alive to receive it?
None. Of course, if it were a question of your life without the money, it might be arranged.
How?
Letter in the form of a deed of gift relinquishing your right to any benefits accruing to the society.
And give up £200,000?
It might ensure your life.
I'd see you burn first.
Not a word. Well, Miss Forrester, this is a pleasure. Come in. Won't you sit down? And now to business. Miss Forrester and gentlemen, again I have the pleasure of presiding at this meeting.
Hello? One moment. Mr. Stanford. Yes? Where?
Oh, thank heaven you come. I followed her here and phoned you immediately. She went through the side door.
There were 4 others, a lawyer, 2 white men, strangers, and a Chinaman.
When it comes, it won't come from the sky.
Oh, shut up.
Oh?
I'm on fire. Life's worth more to me than money.
Yours may be. Mine isn't. Shall we walk to the station together?
No, you go ahead.
She's inside. They left her inside.
The door! Eileen! Ellen, get in the fresh air! You came in the nick of time. Get her home. Don't let her out of your sight. Guard her.
Speaking as a medical man, it is extremely dangerous to run at your age and with your wit.
Could I have a glass of water, please?
Sit down.
No. Frank, I must apologize for bursting in like this, Mr. Holmes.
I'm Dr. Watson. I don't know when Mr. Holmes will be back. Please wait.
Thank you.
Sit down. Cigarette? Any luck? Too bad. I have here the securities. Easily negotiable for £1 million. The Chinaman yet is devoted to his mistress. Doubtless a generous present will satisfy him. On account of Holmes, I cannot impress upon you too sufficiently the necessity for speed. Everything must be finished tomorrow night at the Grange. I will make all the arrangements.
You've got to help me, Mr. Holmes. If you don't, I'm a doomed man. Not 10 minutes ago, an attempt was made on my life. You see, I live on Ebury Street. I was on my way there. I was about to cross the road, and some instinct made me leap back. And as I did, a car, driven with terrific speed, and coming on the wrong side of the road, whizzed by me. How I escaped was a miracle.
Did you find a chance to the occupant of the car?
Yes, as it flashed by me, I caught a glimpse of the driver, a black-bearded man.
Is there anyone who would benefit by your death?
Yes, 4 persons. You see, Mr. Holmes, there's an estate to be settled up. And if I should go out, well, they get my share.
Is any one of them capable of committing a crime?
Yes, 3 of them.
How much is your share of the estate?
£200,000.
Naturally, you would wish to live to enjoy it. When were you in China last?
I was never in China.
Come, sir. Then the tattooing above the right wrist?
Well, that was done in England.
You must be mistaken. That particular yellow is to be found only in China. What made you come to me?
Well, you see, Mr. Holmes, I'd heard of your reputation.
How did you know my address? Aren't you here in answer to my advertisement? Were you not returning from the lighthouse? Are you not a member of the Scarlet Ring? Is it not a fact that 3 of your members have met with very sudden ends and you're terrified lest their fate befall you?
Why, you must be
Ajax cleans your kitchen sink up to twice as easy, twice as fast.
Use Ajax, the foaming cleanser. Cleans your sink just like a whiz. Use the saying, the elbow tax, when you start cleaning with Ajax.
Ajax, the new scouring cleanser, foams as it cleans.
Polishes too, whee! And leaves no gritty cleanser scum.
So use Ajax, the foaming cleanser. Flush the dirt right down the drain. So use Ajax.
Remember, Colgate's Ajax foams as it cleans.
Ajax cuts grease faster than any other leading cleanser.
Ajax polishes as it cleans. And it smells good, too.
So use Ajax.
Club. Incredible.
Watson, my dear fellow.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, what's happened? You look as if you'd seen a ghost.
A ghost? Brandy, that's what I need, brandy. Brandy. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Who struck you?
Well, you said it yourself. It was a ghost, and without any previous warning at all, he hit me in the eye.
Yeah, wait a minute, here, son. I think you better have another.
Well, thank you.
And now I'll begin again. Who struck you?
Upon my word, Holmes, it was a ghost. It's a ghost.
Huh? Do you have a headache, Watson?
It may seem humorous to you, but I mean, look, let me tell you from the beginning.
Yes, please do, but start right at the beginning.
Right, well, I was on my way back from the club. You see, it was about 8 o'clock. And I got him to Splendor Street, and I was just opposite that little tobacconist, you know, makes that...
Yes, I know, yes. Go on, Watson. What did you do then?
Well, I saw a man in front of me suddenly clutch his chest.
He was walking towards you?
How do you know?
Well, I mean, you said he staggered and clutched his chest. You must have been...
Yeah, that's logical. Anyway... Yes, well, anyway, I rushed up to him to help him, you see, and he's still able to mumble something about he had a heart, and he lived in 19 Hooper Street, and would I help him get there?
But there were no other pedestrians?
No, the street was completely deserted.
Good. Go on.
Well, then his landlady let us in, and he was unconscious by that time, so I carried him up to his room, and I laid him out in his bed, and Holmes, he was dead. Now, look here, Holmes, he was absolutely, completely, and utterly dead. I couldn't make a mistake about a thing like that.
No, of course you couldn't, old man, no. Go on, then what happened next?
Well, then I told the landlady rather said to me that she'd called the authorities, you see, and I left my name with her just in case, you know, they'd want me. And then, well, I thought it would be rather more delicate if I left, you see. I mean, he must have relations.
Yes, quite right, Watson. The most delicate situation.
Yeah.
What was the man's name?
Higgins. Albert Higgins.
I see. And what did you do after you left the house?
Well, you see, it had been a bit of an effort, carrying him up like that, so I got down the stairs and popped across the road into a pub and had a pint. And then I started off back to the flat, you see. Well, I just turned the corner into Splendor Street, and there was
Higgins, Albert Higgins?
Yeah, just face to face with me. There he was, large as life. We stood looking at each other for a minute, then he lashed out and hit me in the eye. And then really, Holmes, he vanished.
Vanished?
Yes, he's into the blue.
Well, he ran away?
Well, the street was rather ill-lit, and it took me a minute or two to pull myself together. And then I don't know whether he ran away or not, but he vanished.
Well, that's most unusual.
Most?
Did you speak to this ghost?
Well, I may have said, good gracious, Higgins, or by Jove, Higgins, or even good heavens, Higgins.
Oh, yes, perfectly natural, Watson. Describe Higgins to me.
Well, he's 50-ish. Sandy-haired, medium build.
Well, is that all you observed? No characteristics?
Well, now, really, Holmes, when I had the chance of examining him on the bed, the most obvious characteristic was he was dead.
Well, how was he dressed?
Green tweed suit.
What, just wearing a green tweed suit? He must be wearing something more than that in this weather.
Oh, no, he had a big floppy hat and a long overcoat. Oh, and something else. Yes, I did notice something else. He limped.
Aha. Was he carrying a cane?
No cane.
Well, is there anything else, Watson? Think hard.
Oh, yes, I remember something now.
What?
Yes, the second time I saw him, he was carrying a package. For the first time, he didn't have one.
Now this is curious. Very curious.
Where are you going, Holmes?
Not me. We.
I'm in no condition to leave the house.
And a morsel of raw beef will immeasurably improve your appearance.
And then what?
Then we shall do our best to track down the belligerent ghost of Albert Higgins. Fascinating idea, don't you think?
Well, the whole thing's been most unnerving, I mean, he knocks the wind out of the chap, yes.
Oh, really, no one. Also a rather flamboyant character by the wide, rakish brim. I see he was an artist, too. He hasn't painted very much recently. Notice the specks of paint underneath the brim here. And not house paint, but canvas oils.
Here, what's this? How are you, Jensen? What are you doing in poor Albert's room?
Oh, good evening, Mrs. Blake. You remember me, Dr. Watson?
You're the bloke who brought poor Albert in.
Yes.
Who's your gentleman friend?
This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Mrs. Maggie Blake, the landlady.
Pleased to meet you, I'm sure, Mr. Holmes. Oh, poor old Albert. He was proper fond of life, Albert was. He wouldn't have popped off if he'd had his way.
Oh, few of us would, madam.
I was around to the local having me good-night pint. And grieving for poor old Albert. He would have wanted a proper send-off. With a pint of mild and bitter, Albert would.
No doubt he would, madam.
The body, I see, has been removed by the authorities.
Oh, poor old Albert on a slab.
Oh, dear. Have you notified his next of kin, Mrs. Blake?
No, he had none. He was all alone.
Oh, I see. Where was Mr. Higgins employed, madam?
At the Pembroke Museum, right around the corner in Spender Street. It's a picture museum. Albert was a day watchman.
A day watchman, you say? Well, what were his working hours?
9 in the morning till 9 in the evening. Punctual as a clock, Albert was. Never late a minute. Poor Albert.
He always came back from the museum, then, at a few minutes after 9 every evening.
Aye, to make his supper. He was a proper good cook, Albert was.
Excuse my saying so, madam, but aren't you mistaken? Surely it's a little after 8 when Mr. Higgins finished work? Because it was only a little after 8 when I picked him up this evening and brought him here.
Oh, no, Doctor. It was just after 9. I marked the time because I was waiting for Albert to come back. He had asked me to get him a cut of beef. He always came back just after 9. He'll never eat that beef now. Poor Albert won't. He'll hit you in the eye.
Oh, no. I just bumped into a door.
Oh, you shouldn't get familiar with the door, if you know what I mean.
Well, really, that...
Yes, I think we've found out all we can for the time being, Watson. Thank you, madam. We shan't intrude on your grief any further.
really is most embarrassing about this eye, Holmes? Did you hear what she inferred? It's a terrible situation. And she's wrong about the time. It was only a little after 8. And it's only a few minutes' walk to Spender Street.
Yes. Time is a curious dimension, Watson. Habit and a preconceived notion can so easily reverse the hands of a clock. And yet the clock is still in perfect working order.
Where are we going?
To view the mortal remains of poor old Albert Higgins.
Well, there he is, Mr. Holmes. Nice and peaceful, like, eh?
Poor chap. See anything, Holmes?
Nothing that I haven't already deduced, except that I drew an erroneous conclusion from his hat. He has painted recently, but indoors with his hat off. There are still traces of paint, quite fresh under his fingernails.
What does that mean?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Well, you gents aren't the only ones interested in this dearly departed. Inspector Lestrade at Scotland Yard's looked him over, too.
Oh, indeed.
Oh, he's still here if you'd like to talk to him.
Well, that should be very informative for one or the other, or both of us.
I can't understand it, Holmes. I'm absolutely sure this is the man who punched me. I'm positive.
But also the one who had the heart attack?
Yes, I'm sure of it. One and the same.
Well, he's punched his last punch. Where he probably is, they're punching him. Full of holes with pitchforks.
Yes, but I think we've seen and heard enough. Would you like to take us to Inspector Lestrade now, please?
Ah, hello, Inspector.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, I'm surprised to see you here. Now, this is one case you can't make anything queer out of.
Oh, then why, my dear Inspector Lestrade, are you here?
Well, when they brought him in, somebody recognized him as Pound Note Albert Higgins. I come along to check their identification. We like to keep a track of our old pals, you know.
What was he in prison for?
Counterfeiting. He made the best pound notes you ever saw. Yes, he was a real artist.
Lestrade, there's no doubt as to the cause of death, is there?
Oh, sorry, Holmes. Heart failure, no foul play. I understand you were with him in his last moments.
Yes, I was with him on the street when he had the attack, and I took him home.
There was nothing you could do, I suppose.
Nothing. He was dead before I had a chance to do anything.
By the way, what time was he brought in?
Oh, let me see now. It would be about, yes, here we are. 9:45. Higgins' landlady notified Constable Smithers at 9:30. Smithers had them remove the body in a matter of minutes.
Inspector, are you sure it was 9:30 and not 8:30?
No, 9:30 is right here in Smithers' report. Why?
Oh, No, it's nothing at all.
You're quite sure, Lestrade, there's nothing more to this than a simple case of natural causes?
Ah, no, there's no mystery at all. No mystery, Mr. Holmes. What happened to your eye, Dr. Watson?
Oh, I bumped into a door.
A door? Oh, well, that's a new one anyway. Was it a pretty door?
No, really, Lestrade.
That's all right, Watson. I won't tell a soul.
Well, really, this is insufferable, Holmes. Nobody believes me.
Well, why did you tell them the truth?
What, that I was punched by a ghost?
Yes, I see what you mean. We may have to take on this case anyway, if only to protect your honor and reputation.
Well, it's intolerable, Holmes. Absolutely intolerable.
Evening, Watson. Anything wrong?
No, nothing. Of course not, everything.
Oh, you're sure you're not brooding over last night's affair, are you?
Of course I'm not. Don't be so ridiculous.
Oh, come on, out with it, man.
Well, No, there's nothing to come out with. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come on, Watson. There's something on your mind.
Well, you'd never believe it. Nobody'd believe it.
Well?
Well, I met Albert Higgins in Spender Street again, tonight.
And he punched you again?
He pulled my nose.
Really? Very, very interesting, Watson. My dear Watson, calm yourself.
Look here, Holmes. This whole Higgins affair's gone too far. First of all, last night and now tonight.
Calm yourself, Watson, and relate. Everything hangs on this second encounter.
Well, it occurred just as it had last night. I was on my way back from the club, and I'd reached Spender Street. It was a few minutes ago, as a matter of fact, just after 9 o'clock. I'd stayed rather later in the club than usual. There was a chap from Afghanistan. They was awfully interesting.
Yes, Watson. Get on with the story.
Well, I was rather preoccupied, as you know. This affair's cut me up, rather, and although I may not show it. Anyway, I was walking along. I suddenly looked up, and there was the pedestrian, a man a few feet from me.
Walking towards you?
Well, yes. Of course, I didn't recognize him straight away for, you-know-who. Anyway, I sidestepped him past, and he sidestepped to let me pass, and then we sort of zigzagged about a bit, you know what it is in the street, and ended up by bumping into each other.
Now, that's when you recognized Albert Higgins?
But it was Higgins. I couldn't be mistaken. Good heavens, man, I know him like my own brother.
Dressed as he was last night?
Exactly.
And what did he do then?
Well, as I told you, then he put out his hand, and he... Well, yes, we'll go into that. And then he was gone, vanished.
Capital, Watson, capital. Everything begins to fall into place. Now, there's one more question. Was he carrying a package?
Well, yes, he was, just like last time. I say, Holmes, do you believe,
what?
The supernatural?
Ghosts, do you mean?
Sounds silly, I know, but, Higgins did die of a heart attack. There was no foul play.
No foul play? Why, the whole affair reeks of foul play. I can tell you, Watson, I haven't been idle today. Do you know that the Pembroke Museum is showing a collection of paintings on loan from the Italian government, and that included amongst those paintings is Leonardo da Vinci's Moonlight Madonna?
Well, I did read something about it in the paper. What's that got to do with Albert Higgins?
Well, we must now pay a visit to the good inspector and inform him that if the ghost of Albert Higgins hadn't struck you in the eye...
And pulled my nose.
And pulled your nose, I would never have suspected the Moonlight Madonna would be stolen from the museum.
What?
Well, it's quite obvious, isn't it?
Of course.
I see. Oh, thank you. Well, we'll soon know, Mr. Holmes. But if the picture's still hanging in its place, and we've dragged the curator out of bed to check on it, well, false alarms like this don't exactly help the yard's reputation, you know.
And what about my reputation, Inspector? When I say a man died a little after 8, he died a little after 8 and not a little after 9. And when I say these ghosts punched me in the eye half an hour later, hang it, he punched me in the eye.
Oh, we all have our off days, Dr. Watson. To err is human, as the poets say.
And furthermore, if I tell you that I bumped into this chap's ghost again tonight, you
didn't tell me about any second meeting.
Oh, didn't I? Well, nothing.
An hallucination, that's what you had, Dr. Watson. Yes, it's, psychological. That's the thing in crime today, psychology. I've been studying it, you know.
You astonish me, Inspector.
Oh, we're not as backwards as you think, Holmes. No, we like to keep abreast of the times. Though I don't mind admitting I don't think their psychology's got much of a future. Oh, come in. Ah, Hawkins, you saw the curator?
Oh, yes, sir. I called on Mr. Bentham as you instructed, sir. He was quite excited when I told him this picture called the Moonlight Madonna had been stolen. And so we rushed around the corner to the museum.
And?
Well, sir, the picture was there, hanging in its proper place. Good night, sir.
Well, there you are, Holmes. As I said to Dr. Watson, to err is human. Can I give you gentlemen a lift anywhere?
Thank you, Inspector. Oh, I think it might be a good idea if we called at the Pembroke Museum on our way.
But you heard what Hawkins said. The picture was hanging in its proper place.
My dear Lestrade, Hawkins' statement merely proves that what he and the curator saw was not the Moonlight Madonna at all. Merely an excellent forgery.
What's he talking about?
Art? ghosts, my black eye, and psychology.
Remarkable. Only a microscopic examination of the brushstroke shows it any different from Da Vinci's work.
Of course, if you still have any doubts, a chemical analysis of the paint mixtures will prove them to be of modern manufacture.
No. You've quite convinced me, Mr. Holmes. An analysis is necessary. Dear me, this is catastrophic.
A rather delicate situation, eh?
Delicate? The Italian government will hold the British government responsible. But the painting is an Italian national treasure. And the theft could easily affect the pending treaty between the two nations. Mr. Holmes, you must find the original before the Italians learn the painting's been stolen. The British government will hold me responsible.
And the Yard will hold me responsible.
The most priceless of the lot, too.
Yes, naturally.
Well, we know who stole the painting and substituted a forgery, Higgins. All we've got to do now is find out where he hid it.
What time did you leave the museum, Mr. Benson?
A few minutes before 9. Higgins was still on duty.
You're quite sure it was Higgins?
I'm certain, Mr. Holmes. I chatted with him for a few moments, and I couldn't have mistaken his voice.
And the night watchman relieved him at 9. Well, you heard him say that, Mr. Holmes, and that he had a package with him when he left. The night watchman swears up hill and down dale it was Higgins, all right.
Well, the matter seems to resolve itself very nicely, doesn't it? Dr. Watson was punched by Higgins a few minutes after 9. The night watchman saw him leave at 9. And you spoke to him a few minutes before 9.
Look, Holmes, why don't you and Dr. Watson go home and have a good night's rest? From now on, it's nothing but plain, ordinary, simple police work. Nothing you could use a magnifying glass on.
True. True, Inspector. Well, good evening, gentlemen.
Yes, well, good night, gentlemen.
What do we do now?
Interesting affair, eh, Watson?
Look, I don't care what anybody says. It was after 8 when Higgins punched me.
Well, has it occurred to you that if Higgins didn't punch you, who had the heart attack?
Well, now look here, Holmes, Oh, confound it, for all I know, it was Higgins who punched me and his ghost had the heart attack.
Come on, Watson.
Might have the common decency to tell me what we're breaking into.
Shh, whisper.
Well, I am whispering. Look here, we broke into the rear of the museum because if so, Holmes, really I don't know what's going to happen to us.
Here, hold this.
What? Oh. Holmes, this is sheer vandalism.
Yes, well, there must be a bit of a vandal in us all.
Holmes, what are you doing? This is wanton destruction. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I forbid you to. I didn't know this side to your character, Holmes. I'm shocked.
Just as I thought. Look, Watson.
Good heavens, but more like Madonna.
Yes, ingenious, isn't it? And yet, what could be simpler than to attach it to the back of an old rubber painting?
How on earth did you work that?
Well, I just asked myself where I would hide a stolen canvas.
Holmes, have you gone mad?
No. We're just to wait events. I don't think we should have to wait very long.
Holmes! Dr. Watson! What's the meaning of this?
Watson, I believe you've already met Mr. Benson in his capacity as curator of the Pembroke Museum. Allow me to present him to you now as the picture thief.
Charmed, Dr. Watson.
Oh, delighted. What is this?
So you discovered my little hiding place, Mr. Holmes. I'm curious. How did you know it was I and not the late lamented Higgins?
Yes, I believe Dr. Watson's story from the first. If Higgins died at a little after 8, it must have been someone else who struck him a little after 9.
But it was Higgins who punched me home.
Oh, no, Watson. It was a limp, a wide, floppy hat, and an exceedingly long overcoat that punched you. Seen in a dimly lit street. A psychological misidentification, as the good inspector would call it. The night watchman was also a victim of the same illusion.
And what about the landlady?
How much did you have to pay her to set back the time of death by an hour, Mr. Bentham?
Oh, not much, Mr. Holmes. How did you know it was me?
Dr. Watson and the night watchman both identified the 9 o'clock Higgins visually at a distance. Only you pretended to have spoken to him. This meant that either you were lying or Dr. Watson was punched in the eye by a ghost. I believe the simple explanation.
You almost make me feel transparent, Mr. Holmes.
To anyone who viewed the facts objectively, you were.
It's a pity that one crime has to lead to another.
Yes, and I think it's a great pity, Holmes, that you broke that vase.
Oh, yes. But it's only an imitation.
Nonsense, you can't tell me that sort of work like this is an imitation. Perhaps the pieces can be...
Well done, Watson, well done.
You know, Holmes, you didn't have to invite him here to catch us. You put us in rather an awkward position.
Oh, my dear fellow, I have sublime confidence in your ability to extricate us from any predicament in which my rashness may place us. Might I suggest that you now fetch the good inspector?
Yeah, here you are.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I say, Holmes, Bentham punched me in the eye. Who was it tweaked my nose?
Well, my dear old chap, it was absolutely imperative that I make certain that the limp, the hat, and the coat were really capable of fooling you.
You?
Yes, I regret to say I not only tweaked your nose, but I also pulled your leg.
Oh! What?
You know, if you were to follow a busy doctor as he makes his daily round of calls, you'd find yourself having a mighty busy time keeping up with him. Time out for many men of medicine usually means just long enough to enjoy a cigarette. And because they know what a pleasure it is to smoke a mild, good-tasting cigarette, they're particular about the brand they choose. In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Why not change to Camels for the next 30 days and see what a difference it makes in your smoking enjoyment? See how Camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good-tasting a cigarette can be.
Newport tastes fresher, tastes better too. Newport tastes fresher, tastes better too. Newport tastes fresher, tastes better too than any other menthol cigarette. Newport tastes better too.
It's alive!
Than any other menthol cigarette.
You cleaned the kitchen sink!
Honey, all I did was...
Use new Blue Ajax cleanser. Get you out of the kitchen fast.
Look, pot marks take the time. Even steel wool can't do the job. But watch Ajax with blue chlorine. Just a soft sponge and pot marks gone fast.
Honey, all I did was...
Get out of the kitchen fast. Get Ajax, now in plastic, too.
Here it is, Barbie's Dream House. The wonderful new house for Mattel's famous Barbie doll. It's completely furnished with Barbie's own dressing table, bed, studio couch, TV, and hi-fi. And look, a clothes closet complete with hangers for the Barbie costumes and accessories you buy. And you'll have fun putting the furniture together. Just pop them out, fold them into shape, and there you are. You can arrange the furniture and, of course, rearrange it. A lady's privilege. Barbie's Dream House is a wish come true for both of you. And look, the whole house and everything in it folds up into its own sturdy carrying case. You can take it anywhere. It's perfect for storing Barbie's furniture and costumes. Mother will appreciate that. Look for the genuine Barbie Dream House and furniture, made only by Mattel.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
I hope you enjoyed tonight's films. We'll see you next Friday and Saturday at midnight on Shock Presents.